Hey, team! Look who joined us again for a Wednesday stream. We've got Dapper Dinosaur hanging out with us tonight. How are you doing today, Dapper?
Doing pretty well. I feel forever since we talked.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I mean, all 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
It's been
long
hours.
time. Yeah, exactly. Not quite a whole day. So, but no, it's fun to be back. Because in case people here, most people here probably know, but you were on my show, Kent with Bent, yesterday because we started to get into a video in which we haven't got there yet, but your name dropped in that video. So
Yeah. So, team Matt Powell bestowed upon me a PhD. So I think that means I can quit school, and I just get it.
congrats.
Clearly that's what that means. So yeah, that was super fun last night hanging out. We didn't quite get to where he talked about me, so I'm interested in that, but we'll have to see. Anywho,
Yep.
and so yeah, today, oh my gosh, I thought we could talk about chemtrails because I haven't talked about chemtrails in half a minute, and turns out there's a whole subreddit on chemtrails.
I feel like there's a subreddit for pretty much everything.
Fair. But I was surprised that the subreddit is just r/chemtrails. Like that exists, and I'm a little. That was a little surprising to me. But before that, I'm gonna be a weather nerd for like a second, and I'm gonna show some plots that like show the crazy heat waves going on, or that were going on. I think the heat's broken a bit now. Up in the Pacific Northwest and the Northeast here in the States.
And the Southwest in Canada.
Yes, the Southwest in Canada. So this is actually my favorite way to look at the weather. We're looking straight down at the North Pole. So the North Pole is here. And here are the states. So the countries are outlined in gray, and they are kind of hard to see if you don't look at this all day, every day, right? And if you guys watched back in like February when I got a snowpocalypse into my house for 4 days, right? I showed you guys a map like this, and believe it or not, it looked super similar to this because the phenomena that was going on that caused crazy dramatic temperature changes and like unseasonal weather was super common. So let me kind of explain what you're looking at. So this is actually looking at the temperature of the air, like that's well above the ground. This is like upper level air. And do you see this like dark line here where we have like a sharp difference between like the reds and the yellows?
Mm-hmm.
So this is actually the jet stream. So this is a band of like strong winds that are blowing this way. So they're going like counterclockwise around the North Pole here. And what those do is that provides you like the ability to have this like sharp difference between temperature at the lower latitude, right, which is warmer than these temperatures at the higher latitude, and they're not really mixing because the jet stream is like blowing, and the horizontal winds are much stronger than any like winds along like latitude lines trying to go north or south. So it makes a barrier, it makes a wall. And sometimes, for lots of reasons, the jet gets wavy. So that's actually what we're seeing. That's what this guy is, right? We've got this like tongue of cold air that's like coming down here across Colorado and New Mexico and Arizona. And then on either side is, if you think of it as like, here's the closest thing I can grab. If the jet stream is normally, a line like this, but we push one part down, we're going to pull the other part up, right? So we get a strong wave signal. So this signal here, that is a ridge. This would be a trough, and then this would be another ridge. So if we're thinking of this as like that. So if we and this is back from the 27th of June. This is, a little over a week ago now. But if we step forward, we can see that ridge just kind of hanging out right there. And the whole jet is getting like perturbed. It's doing bonkers things. This is moving up to, and look at that. It just traps that warm air over there and it had nowhere to go, right? So that was looking at more of that heat wave. And then eventually that's going to kind of mix and cool off. And we'll keep moving. All right, so now everything's kind of mixed together again. And so you see, apart from like this little guy down here, there's pretty, we're not getting a region that's like very, very unseasonal, right? But anywho, so if we just keep stepping forward, I love watching this. I think it's like watching a lava lamp. And now we're getting, so this is like today. And so we're starting to get into a forecast at this point. So this is nice. This was forecasted to bring some cooler air. So hopefully we can cool off the Southwest Canada and Northwest of the states. And I was thinking, yeah, so though this guy is a little, California and Nevada especially might be getting another heat wave coming up. But anyway, I wanted to show that because it was such a strong signal, but it was also fundamentally the same type of signal that we saw back in February when we had snow in Houston and ice all over here that froze my heater, right? And it's when you get like a sharp ridge and trough, and so like at that same time that we were having unseasonal cold down here, it was a little warmer than normal, right, up in the Pacific Northwest. But it was winter, so no one really noticed.
Yeah, no one's going to complain when the winter's a little bit warmer than normal.
Exactly. So you really feel these effects. So like we had some really mild days here. So it was kind of nice to have summer days in the 70s. While, other parts were like burning. Anywho, so I think that's that type of map is, most people don't really look at that. I look at it because I do polar weather all the time. But I think it's like really intuitive. Also, we learn stuff here. I bore everybody with the weather. So
there's nothing wrong with the weather. Everyone has to deal with it.
Everyone does have to deal with the weather. Okay, so there's 14 people watching. I did want to say a quick thank you to Lawrence. Lawrence sent me a couple coffees on my Buy Me a Coffee fund. So that link is in the description. My channel isn't monetized yet because I don't have enough view hours. But if you want to financially support, that's a way you can do that. I like caffeine.
And also binge Side Up content to get those view numbers up.
Yeah, I'm like close. I'm close on the view hours. I think I'm like 1,000 short of the 4,000 that you need. Anywho.
Well, there you go. If everyone watches about 80-ish hours or so, problem solved.
Exactly. Yeah, easy day. Problem solved. But anyway, I brought you all here to this lovely day to talk about chemtrails, and specifically r/chemtrails. So let's do that. That seems
This is something
better.
For which I have done no prep.
Excellent. You don't need it. So, Dapper, do you know what a chemtrail actually is?
Like what the conspiracy about it is, or what the actual thing that they're looking at is?
No, what the actual thing that they're looking at is.
Oh, yeah, it's just a contrail. So what happens is, as a plane flies through the air, creates these differences in, which is, how it generates lift, differential pressure. But the thing is that when that happens, it can cause water vapor in the air to condense in the form of actual droplets of water or ice, depending on, the temperature there. And interestingly, you can actually see which parts of the atmosphere are higher in humidity, because in flies relatively level, you can see the contrails kind of cut in and out, and they'll go out when there's lower humidity, and they'll come back in when there's higher humidity. And that's really all it is. They're just regular old clouds. They've just been caused by traveling through, disrupting the pressure systems in that area very locally.
Yeah. So what's happened? So 95% accurate. The one thing I'm going to correct you on is what happens is the exhaust of a jet engine is real warm, right? And the plane is flying through very cold air. And so the cold air cannot hold as much water vapor as warm air. So when the hot exhaust of the plane mixes with this cold air of its environment, you have two sub-saturated or unsaturated air parcels that when they mix become saturated. But yeah, it's a cloud. That's all it is.
What about the contrails that sometimes it's wings where there isn't exhaust?
I don't know that off the top of my head, actually. Because I'm thinking of what trails
from the engine. Those are the ones that are most common.
Yeah.
You do sometimes get trails from wingtips.
Trails from wingtips. Okay, yeah. So how do you get that? Because it should still just be mixing. You do get the most turbulence at the wingtip. So I wonder if that has something to do with like the air parcels are better mixed there, but I'm not sure.
I doubt it's super important to this
particular
topic.
No, it's not super important, but that's a good question. I like questions. Yeah. So I think, as I normally do when I do a Reddit dive, I think we're gonna do search by the top.
The first thing is just, it's just, hey, weird thing, therefore conspiracy.
Yeah.
Like,
so
I don't have a ready explanation.
Yeah, this isn't even a contrail. These are gravity waves, is what you're seeing here.
Gravity waves?
I think so.
Like from distant stellar collisions?
Oh no, not those. Sorry. Gravity wave actually has a different meaning in meteorology. Perturbations in buoyancy in the atmosphere.
Okay. Because I was thinking like, why did we need the whole LIGO detector if we can just look at
if you can just see them in the clouds? No, totally fair. So no, these are let me meteorology gravity wave. Let's do that.
Okay. Yeah, you confused the heck out of me right there. I was just like, holy crap.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so a wave moving through a stable level of the atmosphere. The stable air combined with the upward momentum of it doesn't have to be a thunderstorm. This is thunderstorms can cause gravity waves. So terrain can cause lots of things can cause gravity waves, but it is when you have very stable air. Let me grab a Here we go. Nope, that's like that's a paper. Let's do this. Yeah, okay. Fluid dynamics, the fluid dynamics version. By the way, it is hot enough in my garage that sweat just dripped down into my eye and made it sting. So that's cool.
You need a bucket of ice.
Yeah, I need like
put your feet in a bucket of ice. Problem solved.
Ooh. I also want one of those like, you know what, like your grandparents take when they go camping and are going to be outside for a while, and it's like a thing that they soak in really cold water and then put on the back of their neck.
Mm-hmm.
I want that.
That would
and
also
like
be
a
nice.
Fanny pack just to complete the look.
And really big glasses. You need much bigger glasses.
I need. Let's all just be very honest here. My haircut that I'm a very big fan of is now way cooler than my glasses, and I need new glasses. Right. But these are actually still my Navy issued glasses. Anyhow.
Wow.
I know,
That's
right?
sad.
Isn't it?
You still get the BCGs, huh?
These aren't proper BCGs.
No, they're not. For everyone watching, by the way, a BCG is a birth control glasses because while you're wearing them, there's no one who would be interested in you.
Yeah, hold on. I'll show you a picture. Navy BCGs.
Might work.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's these. It's
the ugliest glasses in the world.
Ugliest glasses in the world. Those are BCGs. Anywho. Okay, so fluid dynamics, gravity waves are waves generated in a fluid medium or at the interface between two media when the force of gravity or buoyancy tries to restore equilibrium. So something to remember about the atmosphere is that like density is decreasing as you go up. So it is sort of like a density sorted thing. So you can think of it as you can think of it as like discrete layers that are like sitting on top of each other, right? And so you have these interfaces of effectively two fluids because we have like different properties of air here versus here, right? And so so we can basically what can happen is that the two layers don't really want to mix. So if we start to perturb one, we kind of get a wave instead of like vertical mixing, if that makes sense.
Right.
So yeah, that's so that, my friends, is I was looking at Tropical Storm Elsa earlier. This is a cool story in the chat. Hold on. Hi, Caleb. Glad you're here. Just moved from Colorado to Missouri while going through Kansas. Went through a crazy low pressure system that your ears popped and the temperature dropped 24 degrees Fahrenheit. Yikes. That is amazing. That is super cool. I bet you drove through a crazy front. I bet were the winds really nuts? Though you were probably driving with the winds, would be my guess. Because I bet you crossed a front and to go into anyway. That was super cool. I would love to have been taking measurements or something. That would have been super fun. Launch weather balloons. That would have been great.
That does sound like a cool idea. But
yeah,
I like the conspiratorial mindset that any phenomenon for which you do not have a ready-made explanation, that you yourself already know, you don't research it. You don't go look at it. You don't ask a meteorologist. You're just well, must be the government trying to kill us. It's why?
Ooh, okay. I love this. Harply cloudy skies. So for those that don't know, HARP is just a weather observation station that's now shut down, but it was in Alaska, and it is everyone's favorite conspiracy that it is controlling the weather. And I'm pretty sure that our good friend Kent Hovind firmly believes in HARP.
Yeah, he doesn't talk about it a whole lot, but
right.
So the thing is, it turns out Steve, his tech guy, is apparently feeding him all the crazy conspiracy theories. So he's been taking a deep dive into conspiracy theories somewhat in the background, but every once in a while it does come up.
Yeah, I've been looking to find find Kent talking about HARP and weather control and, my favorite conspiracy theories.
The problem is you have to wade through a whole bunch of him talking about Donald Trump and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I like myself more than that. It was being a little detrimental.
There's a reason I drink during Kent with Bent.
Yeah,
I don't know if I could watch that much Kent Hovind otherwise. Because holy crap.
I thought I sorted stuff by top, but then it went away. So
come on, Reddit.
Come on, Reddit. Let's just do this.
I like it that so far all I've seen is just people sharing pictures of clouds and being uh-oh, normal clouds, something bad is happening. At least, okay, so here we actually have some contrails.
Yeah, there you go. And there's so different environment happening here. So the trail spreads out. I am really intrigued about what this. So is this the beginning of them telling us the truth about chemtrails? Let's see what that link leads to. I'm intrigued.
Clicking on a random video link during a live stream.
I know, I'm very brave. Very brave. Don't worry, the audio isn't currently shared, so
that does give you some protection.
There does. Yeah, I know I'm not signed into YouTube. I'm in incognito mode. Come on now. What is this? I don't want to watch the NBA. Oh my gosh. Okay. Goodness gracious. Sorry. This is why Bill Gates is funding solar geoengineering research. Oh, this is actually from CNBC. Okay. Oh, I know what this is going to be about. I know what that's going to be about. There exists a proposal to do a study to inject, I think, sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere. to because sulfur dioxide, that's what's often released from volcanoes. That's like what caused the year without a summer. Sulfur dioxide is super shiny, and so it dramatically increases albedo, reflects a lot of sunlight back to the sun. So that's been like proposed as a geoengineering way to combat climate change, right, and to be a way to combat global warming. There has never been there's never been an actual test. It's only been tested in computer models. There have been proposals for actual field studies, but the last time I checked on this was a few months ago. But as of a few months ago, none of those have ever gotten off the ground, right? And this is mostly because meteorologists are like, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. That seems like a bad idea.
No, why is that?
So that seems like a bad idea because, secular, I did not say, I said it increases albedo.
Do we have something we could spray into the air that would do that?
So if you sprayed sulfur dioxide into the air, it would do this. It would increase.
No. I mean, what secular rarity is suggesting?
I don't know, whatever they're using to make the freaking frogs gay, I guess.
Which, by the way, it isn't doing.
Right, it's not doing that. Anywho. So the reason I don't think this is a good idea is, it is a better idea to inject it into the stratosphere. I don't want to breathe sulfur dioxide, right? I don't want that down here with me. And I have absolutely no idea how sulfur dioxide in like the troposphere would affect weather systems, right? I do not know, and no one knows, right? So let's not mess with that, you know? And especially we're talking about concentrations at the scale that you would need to increase, noticeably actually affect global temperature.
Right.
Let's not put it in the troposphere. We don't want to breathe it. We don't want it messing with our weather systems. I don't know, right? So if we're going to put it anywhere, let's put it in the stratosphere, right? Because it's difficult but not impossible, but difficult to mix stratospheric air and tropospheric air. So then a very important question there comes with, how much and what will its residence time be, and by what mechanism will it be removed, right? Because you can't just put sulfur dioxide up into the stratosphere once, right? You would have to, because it'll go away. Thinking about what I know about volcanoes, less than a decade, right? So order of magnitude years, probably longer than one, more than one, less than 10, maybe 5.
Right.
Right.
This isn't a one and done solution to climate change.
Right. It's not a one and done. And so then, so we've pumped the sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere, into the stratosphere, and it doesn't stay there forever. So where does it go, right? And what are the long-term effects of that?
Obviously, it just floats off into space, right?
Clearly, right. No, it's totally not, and what's that going to do? Like, is it going to combine with other pollutants like NOx or methane? And if that happens, then how are those how is that going to affect other aerosols, right? Aerosols are one of the things that's what affects human health, right?
Right.
And so, if we're going to put anything to reflect sunlight back, I like Dawn's favorite thing here too, bunch of mirrors. Let's just put a bunch of mirrors. But so I guess basically the shorter version of what I just said is let's not combat humans pumping pollutants into the atmosphere by humans pumping other pollutants into the atmosphere.
It's kind of like introducing snakes to get rid of the rats that you introduced to the island, and they just eat all the birds.
Exactly. So, like, sulfur dioxide increases albedo. Absolutely, that's a thing that we know. Snakes eat rats. Absolutely, that's a thing that we know. But if you're talking about a system this big where we can't do controlled experiments, right? Can't, because we have one atmosphere. We don't have a spare planet. And so, if we don't already know how those interactions are going to go, then how are we accurately modeling them, right? So like it's a huge deal to go into the atmosphere and sample how do chemistry samples, right? That's a whole field. There are whole like science planes just devoted to understanding how chemical reactions are occurring in the atmosphere, and that helps us improve our like computer models so that we can do more experiments, right? It's a whole thing. Anywho, but like I understand why research is going into that, right? Because it's like, is releasing snakes onto the island a good idea? I fundamentally think not, but I'm also not like a geoengineer, and there's no harm in like thinking about that and trying to do some research, right?
Computer modeling is not going to hurt your health.
Computer modeling isn't going to hurt your health. The amount will be less than what was done with the Year Without a Summer. I don't like the word experiment there, Trebecca, because that was just Year Without a Summer was just a ton of volcanoes all went off, and then a really big one went off. So
maybe we just need more volcanoes. Maybe that's the real
more volcanoes. Solution. Maybe that's the answer. Yeah.
We'll have to figure out what it was that caused the catastrophic plate tectonics and make that happen again, just a little bit, just a bit.
Yeah. Okay. So that was that video. We don't need to watch it. Also, that's not. Even if chemtrails were a thing that existed, right, which they are not, it's just water, team. You wouldn't want to put anything in the troposphere because we have to breathe it. So.
That's actually one of the things that puzzles me the most about the chemtrail conspiracy theory is actually like, okay, so you think, quote unquote, the elites are poisoning the atmosphere. What are they breathing?
Right, exactly. Do they have special rich people air? I don't know.
It's like that scene in Spaceballs where the guy opens up the can of Perry air and he sniffs it.
Oh my gosh, love it. Also, Rebecca, thank you. I'm terrible at knowing when people are joking when it's chat. I'm not much better at it in person, but I'm way worse in chat. So if people are joking and I'm not getting it, please just correct me. You're not going to offend me. All right, so there's a beautiful contrail there over Dallas. Let's see if they have another picture. Yeah, so some nice clouds, guys.
Yeah, nothing about the thing that gets me with chemtrail guys is like, okay, they pretend that the way that you can tell the difference between contrails and chemtrails is that chemtrails are supposedly more persistent. But we've had such a long history with consistent contrails that it was a thing that people wrote papers about during World War II was, how do we get rid of these really long-lasting contrails because they're being used to target our bombers? And they didn't actually come up with a good solution other than fly higher.
Yeah. Fly higher. Yeah. We have a crossover episode here about chemtrails
and detox.
So you have to use zeolite, the gateway to healthy living, to promote detoxification and boost your immune system to get rid of heavy metals.
You want to know what my secret for detoxing is?
Having a liver?
Yes, that is exactly my special secret.
Yeah. The whole detox thing is silly. It's.
Oh, my favorite one is, have you ever seen the detox foot baths?
Yes.
So my favorite thing is you can leave those empty and they will still fill up with gunk because you're actually putting a mild current through it. And the gunk is actually corrosion on the anode and cathode of the device that you're putting in the bath. It's not from you, it's from the actual device. The device is slowly breaking down and discoloring the water with various dissolved metals and metal salts.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
By the way, so it's the second ad for the same product.
Oh,
So
goodness.
you can remove all of the chemtrails from your body. So how do those get there?
Well, the great thing is, chemtrail people always like to say, oh, they're pumping this or that into the atmosphere,
Mm-hmm.
but they never actually go out and like take samples on days when there's a whole lot of supposed chemtrails to see if there's any higher incidence of any of these chemicals on the ground. And if
Yeah.
there's not, then why do you think they were ever there?
Right. Yeah, that's a great question. What if we were going to Rebecca, isn't zeolite just sand? Oh, I hope so. That's awesome.
Just eat some sand, you'll be fine.
Rub some dirt in it. Okay, so what instrument would we need to test chemical first of all, I'm not quite sure which chemicals we're concerned about, right?
One of the common ones they use is aluminum.
Okay. So aluminum. So what would we need to test atmospheric concentrations of aluminum? Is that a device we could find?
I don't know if there's a device, but you could probably come up with a fairly simple chemical test where you find something that reacts fairly strongly with aluminum, and then you get some atmospheric samples, right? And it shouldn't be too hard to get bits of aluminum to precipitate out of a sample of atmosphere, because I don't know if you guys know, but aluminum is pretty heavy compared to like nitrogen.
Yeah.
And then you should be able to just mix it with whatever chemical you're using to detect aluminum.
Ooh, look, there's all these YouTube videos on aluminum ion tests.
Ooh, nice.
Aluminum identification test, cation salt analysis. Cool. Practical experiments intermediate. So that looks like a thing you could do.
Well, chemtrailers, get on it, man.
Get on it, team. Like, I'm not a chemist. I have some chemist friends. I could ask them.
Well, this comes back to a common thing with a lot of conspiracy theories like flat earth, chemtrails, creationism. Very rarely are the conspiracy theorists willing to actually do the work. What they would prefer to do is make wild speculation and then occasionally quote work by actual scientists that they think favors their side, but doesn't actually, because they either didn't bother to read the experiment or the paper in question, or they don't know how to understand it. That happened to me twice. I was writing a script today for a video about Dan Biddle, and twice he presents papers about using hybridization experiments to determine the pattern of genetic causes for different traits between subspecies. And then he pretends that is therefore evidence of epigenetic method of action. And then he pretends that epigenetics is a problem for evolution. So it's like 3 different levels of stupid.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that happens with people like this. Like, just go do the science, Dan. If you think it's epigenetics, do the science. And if you think this is chemtrails, go measure for aluminum or barium or something. And Robert Atza points out aluminum is one of the most common elements in the Earth's soil. Yes, it's pretty close behind like silicon, and aluminum is very common in soil. But the thing is, you should still be able to detect more aluminum in the atmosphere if it's being sprayed into it, purposefully in some concentration is going to do something. Because, like, okay, sure, if you spray like a liter of aluminum across like a 12-mile zone, I don't think much is going to happen anywhere. Which then would beg the question: why are you doing it?
Yeah. So the other thing I was thinking of is that it's not terribly expensive to rig up a weather balloon, right? So if you wanted to, and there's instruments that are commercially available that can sample the atmosphere as you're moving vertically. I don't know if there's anything in there that's like there's instruments that like auto detect things like ozone concentrations. So you might have to rig something up if you're depending on what you're looking for. But like for less than $1,000, I think you should be able to, run your own weather balloon you could release into the air. You could actually sample the trail there that you're seeing behind the planes. Right.
And I think all the chemtrailers could combine and make enough cash together for several weather balloons.
If the flat earthers scraped together $20,000 to get that special
the laser gyroscope.
Laser gyroscope. I'm glad that you knew what I meant by this.
Yes.
And Dan from Overt Creationist asks, how bad is it? Oh, this is kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it all just comes down to, I don't understand what I see in the sky, therefore bad guys.
Yeah, they're for bad guys.
It's like the dumbest take you could possibly have.
Yeah, no, it's not that expensive. That's why, I mean, stations launch them. Every weather station in the United States launches a weather balloon twice a day, every day. It's not super expensive.
Now, is there reusability to them?
Not to the balloons, but to the instruments, yes.
And I assume that that's a big portion of the cost, right?
The instrument's the expensive thing. One weather balloon is like $100 or $200, but actually it's less. I'm thinking of what that is for a balloon that gets up into the stratosphere. If you just want to stay in the troposphere, I think it's less. I think it's more like 100-ish.
So for $1,000, we could send up a balloon, but then after that, if we do another 1,000, it's going to be 10 more launches of this balloon.
Exactly. It's
like startup costs versus operating costs.
Exactly. And then you have to like buy the helium, or if you're really cool, a lot of the National Weather Service is actually transitioning over to hydrogen, because helium's expensive now and becoming
it's getting
rare.
more and more expensive, and that's not going to change because
it's not going to change. Yeah,
we're not getting a whole lot of new helium. So
no, reasons we should go to the moon and mine it. There's helium there.
For the helium.
Yeah.
I would like the idea that sometime in the future, maybe some little kid is going to have a helium balloon on his birthday, and that helium came from the moon.
Oh, here's Western Pennsylvania night spraying. Again, it's just a contrail. Yeah.
It's actually kind of a sad thing about the chemtrail conspiracy is it's like, it's not even that much fun. It's just, you found some contrails, you don't know what they are,
right?
So you made a stupid take and you put it on the internet. Like, at least with some of the other stuff, like with like Bigfoot, it's like, oh, okay, well, what's this hair sample? What are these tracks I found? Look at this blurry photo. It's like, yeah, there's like actual stuff to sink your teeth into. With this, it's just like, hey, look, guys, I took a picture of the sky and I don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, guys, do better than this.
What is the dimming? Exposing the global climate engineering cover-up.
Oh, I think they're going to talk. I think that is probably going to talk about the geoengineering idea, where the contrails, or I guess the chemtrails, are supposed to be noticeably increasing the albedo of Earth. Which, man, I wish they did. That'd be nice. If the net effect of planes was to actually cool the planet,
cool the Earth, that would be amazing.
Unfortunately, that is not the net effect.
That's not the net effect. Not even a little bit.
What we got to do is find a way to run airplanes on hydrolox, because that only has water as an exhaust.
I like it.
It's literally just hydrogen and oxygen, and you combust them. So, of course, water comes out the other end.
This video is 2 hours, Dapper.
We're not doing that.
We're not doing that. What are they going to talk about for 2 hours?
That's the thing. What can you talk about with chemtrails for 2 hours?
I have no idea.
Oh, I like this one. We've got old contrails, and a new contrail.
Oh, and look, you're getting some of those gravity waves. You're getting those little
nice.
Bumpies. Yep. Go in there. And then, boom. Yeah.
I mean, I actually kind of like this picture. It's like, it's got some nice composition. You get like some motion lines on the older contrails, and you get that cool vertical element right center frame. So I got to say, I don't know who did this. Who was this guy?
This is Creepy Darling.
Well, Creepy Darling, on the off chance that you ever see this, the chemtrail thing is crazy. However, you seem to have a reasonable eye for photography. So maybe move over to like some photography subreddits and start taking pictures of things that people find interesting, like nature or taking portraits, doing wedding photography.
This is also a really good photo. Oh, and you got the plane in this one. So you can see here, it's the twin engine streams coming out of both engines. And
then you can also see that as it goes, it's spreading out, which makes sense given the fact that we have older, much more diffuse contrails.
Yeah, this photography is way better than anything I can do. That's pretty. Still, like, it's still just a cloud, but you know, that's cool.
It's a nice cloud.
This one left a shadow in the sky.
Well, that is what happens when things interrupt light.
Yeah.
I don't. Are people under the impression that clouds don't leave shadows? Like, people have been out on cloudy days and noticed that it's darker than it is when it's sunny out, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not crazy. That's a thing.
That's a thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't understand the confusion here. Of course it leaves a shadow. It's denser than the air around it, so it blocks some of the light. And what happens when you see the area where light has been partially blocked out? It's called a shadow. It's literally... I don't understand.
Are these just going to be pictures of clouds? Is this going to be... Whoa, I didn't mean to click on that. Oh,
that sounds interesting.
This is what you're talking about. Okay. When no commercial aircraft flew across the U.S. following the September 11th attacks, the diurnal temperature variation was widened by about 2 degrees Fahrenheit, 1 degree Celsius. Diurnal team, that is just the like day-night cycle. So that would be over the course of a day. So the temperature variation over a day was 2 Fahrenheit, measured across 4,000 weather stations in the continental U.S. This increase was the largest recorded in 30 years. Without contrails, the local diurnal temperature range was less. So notice, though, it's 0.2 degrees Fahrenheit. Difference was... Oh, excuse me, it was...
It's a lot higher than that around here.
Yeah, this was...
I usually have about a 40-degree swing Fahrenheit each day.
Gotcha.
Well, sometimes it's 30.
Without contrails... Oh, wait. Sorry, I'm having trouble with this sentence. Because without contrails, the temperature difference between like day and night, hottest part of the day, coldest part of the night, was 2 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what this sentence says.
So,
right?
No, it says it was widened by that. So taking into account the second one, that means you have to add those numbers together. So it would have been almost 4 degrees Fahrenheit when there was no commercial flights.
No. But what this is saying, my understanding of this is, so like, let's say for you, gosh, where's my phone? All right. The high today in Norman is 91 Fahrenheit and the low is 70 Fahrenheit, right? So what this is, my read of this is that what this is saying is that on average, that difference would be greater by 2 degrees. Like it would get up to 93 with a low of 70, right? Okay. That's what my understanding of this sentence is. That
that makes sense. That checks out.
On average, the difference was 2 degrees more than normal. Without contrails, the local diurnal temperature range was something.
So basically, what I'm getting here is the measurable difference that they can reasonably attribute to what they're calling contrails was 0.2 degrees Fahrenheit.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, if anything, this is really good evidence that these aren't some kind of weather modification chemtrails, because they seem to be doing a really crap job of modifying the weather.
Yeah.
Oh no, 0.2 degrees Fahrenheit. What shall we ever do?
What shall we do? And I mean, it is true that like clouds, so clouds affect albedo. Clouds are shiny. Light reflects off of clouds. So more clouds, more sunlight is reflected back to space. But like the clouds from, constant convection over the tropics is a much bigger deal than all global airline flights combined.
What if we just painted the whole Earth white?
Ooh, that would help. Another great way to help, believe it or not, this would combat specifically urban heat islands. Plant trees in your cities.
There aren't that many trees that can grow here.
Well, plants, like anything that's not blacktop, right? Anything that's not blacktop in like urban heat islands, right, will help reduce that effect.
You know what's pretty crazy? Urban heat island is Phoenix. That place is insane.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, last year. Sorry.
I love the Robert's calling this is looking at clouds. Like I want the old man yells at clouds meme. That's how I feel right now.
Well, that basically is chemtrails.
That's the subreddit vibe is, yeah.
But yeah, so Phoenix, year before last, the ground got so hot that the sidewalks buckled from thermal expansion. They and the thing is, sidewalks in the area around Phoenix are designed with significant thermal expansion in mind because they have to be. Because the lows in the winter, I mean, they can get into the 50s Fahrenheit, but the highs in the summer can get into about 120 or so.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, last year there was such sustained high temperatures, or not last year, sorry, year before last that a number of sidewalks just cracked because they pushed against each other. Saw rainbow rings around the sun. That's not clouds. I want to see what they're looking at.
Well, they didn't post a picture.
And there's no comments.
Right.
Come on, dude.
Yeah, but because you could see a rainbow ring around the sun, just because of like water vapor. So if it was very humid, you could in theory see that. Or if it had just rained, but I want to see the picture. But
right. At the very least, let's get some nice like sky pictures in here. That seems like that's all the subreddit is good for.
Yeah.
And yet right there, they're not even doing it.
Right.
All right, so I think I'm seeing some more of those gravity waves right there. Because I'm getting a lot of striations.
Like bands, like those bands?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's probably that. So they not spraying chemtrails. Look up, people.
I mean, I'm just seeing a bunch of clouds that aren't even contrails.
Yeah.
Has the chemtrail community gone from looking at contrails and seeing chemtrails to just looking at any cloud and seeing chemtrails?
Literally any cloud. There's a comment on this one. I want to see what they say. Oh, nope. It's this guy really trying to sell his zeolite.
How has this guy not been banned from the subreddit by now?
I don't know. Come on,
That's
mods.
so weird.
Yeah.
I would expect to be banned if I were just spamming ads for my weird detox chemicals. But yeah, can we actually hit play? Because even if it's a long one, we can just skip to somewhere in the middle and just look at what he's looking at.
Yeah. But the audio, I have to do a thing to make the audio come through. So just.
I don't think we should do the audio. I just want to see what he's looking at.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fair. All right.
Because that's less likely to get you in trouble.
Fair.
All right, so we just got just clouds.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh, I guess there's a contrail right there. Okay, fair enough. And I guess there's another contrail. So we've got two contrails and just a bunch of clouds.
Yeah. He's rambling a little bit about cloud seeding because I can hear what he's saying.
I mean, cloud seeding is supposed to be to make clouds rain, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's not raining, so the seeding is doing a pretty poor job.
Also, there have been no confirmed experiments that clouds, like, we've done things that maybe helped cloud seeding. Maybe that was a thing, but there's been no experiment that has been like noticeably different than noise, right?
Right.
So,
Well, when you say confirmed, that means that the Illuminati are they're actually doing it for real and just not confirming it.
Right. So there have been real studies and long-term cloud seeding experiments, right? The results of those experiments are maybe it did a thing. Yeah,
but it's not statistically significant. We cannot reject the null hypothesis that they're not doing anything.
You cannot. Nobody can tell. Literally nobody can tell if it's done anything. So that's turns out, guys, weather real complicated.
I do like that middle right thumbnail at least, because while I don't think it has anything to do with chemtrails, it's a really cool cloud formation.
Yeah, so that's probably looking at that is going to be like the leading edge of a storm. So you're seeing this cloud forming where you're having so you have like a wedge like cold air mass running into a warm air mass, and it's like a snowplow, right? That cold air mass just goes and forces that warm moist air up and over, and so you get a very distinct like leading line. So the stronger the storm, the more distinct that feature.
So that's probably a doozy of a storm then, huh?
Probably a doozy of a storm. I wouldn't want to be in front of it. Those wind gusts would be bonkers, and I wouldn't want to be behind it because the rain is going to be insane.
But could you cause that by spraying any chemical out of an airplane?
No.
Okay, that was the big question there.
No, because so what you need to make something like that, right, is a contrast of a lot, right, like a state's worth of warm, moist air and about the same amount of cold, dry air, right?
So we need a very big plane.
You would need, okay, so how would we do this? We would need every humidifier and dehumidifier on the planet, right?
Working in tandem.
So over here, we're going to run the humidifiers and some space heaters, right?
Okay.
And over here, we'll run dehumidifiers and hope it gets cold, right?
Right.
We'll move some fans or something.
You literally can't air condition the outside, guys.
Right, yeah. And we'll do that, and then we'll try to make them run into each other.
Okay.
Perhaps with fans.
But planes still aren't going to do it.
No, what is a plane going to do?
Spray chemicals, apparently.
But what chemicals would help?
Look, you're asking really weird sciencey questions. You should just accept that there are chemicals that can just do magic.
I guess if you could find a chemical that was really good at like sucking air, you know?
I'm not even sure what that would mean.
We have water vapor that's like mixed in with the rest of the air. I want something that will attach itself to the water vapor and fall out.
Oh, right. So just spray silica gel like you find in like your beef jerky packets?
Yeah.
There
okay, so what we really need is the world's supply of beef jerky.
Or just the silica gel.
Just the silica gel, I guess, but I kind of want the beef jerky too.
Well, okay, that's fair.
Like, you have to feed your scientists.
By the way, beef jerky is really expensive now. It's just at the grocery store, and it was like $12 for a little, like, Jack Link's bag of beef jerky. And I was like, this is a ripoff.
But the correct place to buy beef jerky is from a creepy guy in his truck off the side of the road.
That's where I get my my raccoon jerky.
Yeah. It's also the correct place to buy corn and tomatoes and watermelons.
And gator.
Yeah. Well, not gator here, but it is...
Actually, the international supermarket near where I live sells gator and bear.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a bit on the expensive side though, but it's farm raised gator, so it's not wild caught.
I've eaten gator. I have not eaten bear.
Last time, or not last time, but a previous family vacation that I went on with like my siblings and parents, where we all met up in South Carolina. And we were all driving. We went right past a place selling bear meat. And I was like, hey, guys, let's go stop in and get some bear meat. I don't think anyone's here ever had it. No one seemed to like that idea, and I don't know why. I
love this title.
We've been hit with frequencies? What does that mean?
What does it mean?
You can't be hit with a frequency. A frequency isn't a physical object.
Yeah. So what you're seeing there, actually, so that's going to be that should be hitting... oh gosh, you have like a consistent LCL, lifting condensation level. So like your the base of your clouds, right, is determined by like the point. If you take an air mass and you just kind of lift it up off the ground, right, at what height does the temperature of the air mass equal its dew point, right? Okay. And that is the LCL, the lifting condensation level. And so that's like, that should be your cloud base, right? And naively, you would think that that's going to be the LCL, that's going to be the cloud base height, like for everywhere, right? But think about when you see like big puffy clouds, right? They're in isolation and there's clear sky next to them, right? So there's different mechanics going on, but that's what you're seeing. What you're seeing here is that kind of simplified thing of that's just the height at which temperature, like the change of temperature with height because of the drop in pressure has caused the air to reduce temperature down to its dew point. And when you see those little like ripples in it, that's actually much more just the very tiny undulations from just basic boring rising winds.
Because air is a fluid.
Because air is a fluid, yeah, and it moves like all the time.
No, it's clearly a government's conspiracy.
Okay, one of the most frustrating parts in that debate I had with Nathan Thompson.
Which, by the way, again, condolences.
Thank you. Was when he was trying to get me to engage in a thought experiment that was like, and that's probably too generous of language for what was going through his head, but it was trying to be like, so like it had something to do with a hot air balloon, right? Why don't we see the Earth, the Coriolis effect on a hot air balloon? Why don't you see the Earth turn under it, right? And it's like, well, because a regular normal winds are stronger than the Coriolis, right, on a small scale. And so I was like, so he was like, well, what if there were no winds? I was like, okay, so yeah, let's engage in this thought experiment. And then he immediately went to real world, and I was like, but there's always wind. And then he put his hand outside to try to show that there wasn't wind.
I'm glad that your hand is big enough to sample the entire column of air above you, Nathan.
Right. And like, hey team, if you didn't know, the surface is where the friction is. So the higher up you go, the stronger the winds are.
What? Is that why it's always windy up on mountains?
Yeah.
Weird. Which is actually a thing. Is if you've ever gone up a mountain, I can guarantee you've noticed that it's windier up there. I mean, I've been up mountains. I know that it's windier up there. A still day on a mountain is pretty rare.
Yeah. There's less friction.
Weird.
Anyhow,
it's amazing how reality isn't just a crazy government conspiracy, and it actually kind of makes sense.
Yeah. I also love this. Only 2K subscribers. Are there any other subs that cover this topic? Let's find out.
Oh, yeah. Are there?
Are there?
I'm actually kind of happy that this only has 2,000 subscribers. I like that I have significantly more subscribers than r/chemtrails.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Nope. There's not another one.
No, apparently not. So basically, I think of it like this.
Yeah.
If my little tiny channel has more subscribers than this topic, this is not a popular topic on the internet, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, Robert points out something great. Yeah, that's why windmills are on towers.
Yeah.
So
no one puts a windmill next to the ground.
Exactly. Okay. All right. So yeah, here's some pretty contrails. That's lovely. It's out of control.
Effing up our beautiful blue sky. I'm sorry, dude.
I'm sorry, there's a plane, my guy. Like,
what's the black line in front of this?
The plane? A power line?
That's what it looks like. Looks like a power line, man. Now, if you actually could show me that was in the atmosphere for real,
that would be
yeah. That I'd be like, okay, well, we've got something. But this would need to be like some video, and you'd need to have some serious parallax going with other objects to make sure that it's actually a distant object in the sky. 1 week before lockdown. Oh no, there were planes flying before lockdown.
Sometimes I feel like a crazy person for believing this stuff, but it's undeniable.
No, go with the first feeling.
Go with the first one. Go with that team. It's really just condensation. Like, it's just a cloud. No different from any other cloud.
Oh, have you seen, there are some chemtrail people who seem to think that going outside with a spray bottle of apple cider vinegar and spraying it around your yard can dissipate chemtrails, because somehow the chemtrails way up in the air are going to care that you're spraying a little bit of acetic acid with some aromatics mixed into your yard.
Okay, but here's the thing. I will say this. If that is what you need to do to make yourself feel a little better, right? That's not going to cause any harm.
No, but it's still kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's silly, and it's not going to help, right? But I have to say, so far with the conspiracies that I've done on debunking Wednesdays, this one seems like actually like does the least harm.
On its own, that's probably true, but the problem is that like it's a statistical fact that people who end up believing one conspiracy are then more likely to go on to believe further conspiracies. That's why you tend to get people who are like, it's not that often that you get someone who's like, oh, I just believe in chemtrails, but like I'm not an anti-vaxxer, I'm not a flat earther, I don't like they all tend to cluster together. So you get someone who's like convinced, oh hey, maybe these contrails really are chemtrails and the government's spraying something. Well, then maybe they're lying about vaccines, and maybe they're lying about 9/11, and maybe it's all the Jews, and maybe the earth is young and flat. And then it's like, oh, all right, well, this relatively harmless conspiracy theory has spiraled into you being a crazy man with an arsenal who's ready to shoot up a synagogue and isn't taking vaccines. Now, granted, that's an extreme version of it, but I'm going to the extreme to make a rhetorical point, which is that, yes, this one isn't very dangerous on its own. However,
it's indicative of a pattern of general science denialism that I'm very against.
And also an attribution of agency to things that don't require it, which is a common human trait. But you're going overboard with this, where everything is a result of conscious agents making a decision for nefarious purposes when it's usually not. Like, no one's out there to make contrails. No one is, I can't say no one ever, but like very few pilots go out and fly because they want to put white lines in the sky.
Except that one Navy pilot that drew a dick.
Well, like I said, very few. I did correct myself from none.
Yeah.
But yeah, so with very few exceptions, pilots are usually out there because they want to take something or some people from one place to another in the fastest way possible. That's the general reason that people are flying. It's not to make lines in the sky. That's not anyone's goal.
No. Okay. Dapper, I am pretty pop cultural literate, so I might need your dinosaurness to help me with this one. Lana Del Rey's new album? How can anyone listen to Lana Del Rey's new album after actually knowing what chemtrails are? It's so disturbing that an artist would make music targeted at young, unaware people could casually drop in such a reference. Most of her fans are going to listen to the music, bobbing their head to it, and have no idea what chemtrails are. Is she trying to warn people? What's going on?
I guess Lana Del Rey said something about chemtrails in a recent song.
I'm guessing. Let's see.
Oh, and of course, I disagree.
Yeah.
So I do like that we're so conspiratorial minded that even someone apparently referencing your conspiracy theory in a public forum is to you suspicious, because they would have shut her down if they knew this must be some kind of a psyop.
Right.
And then other people are like, nah, maybe she's just trying to, raise awareness about, chemtrails. It's like, no, it's got to be nefarious. It's just like, my goodness. This reminds me of, do you know who Patricia Steer is?
No.
So she's featured in the Netflix Flat Earth documentary, if you've seen that. She's the redheaded woman, I believe.
Gotcha.
And not long after that, she, because of course that documentary didn't exactly paint Flat Earth in the best light, she was hounded out of the Flat Earth community and basically accused of being a CIA plant. And one of the things is, though, that there's some video of her saying that, all these people are saying that there's all these crazy conspiracies about me, that I'm a CIA plant because my name is Patricia and it ends in CIA, and they think that I'm a disinfo agent. And I can't really do anything to prove them wrong, but there's just no evidence that it's true. And I was just like, you don't see that pattern might extend to other parts of your life? What? And that's what I see happening right there. They're like, people can't accept that maybe someone is on their side in a public forum. It's like, it's got to be weird, crazy conspiracy, disinfo agent, psyop nonsense. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Also, I feel bad for Patricia Steer because I saw some of the stuff that was harassing her off the internet, and it was pretty harsh. I mean, like, look, I don't have huge amounts of sympathy for the woman who was promoting flat Earth because like that's completely crazy. But like also, she didn't do anything to deserve that kind of treatment. Like my goodness.
Yeah.
Is the sun also a chemtrail? I want someone to say that.
Ooh, that would be very cool. Okay, sorry. I think a lot of people are getting an intense lag, so I'm super sorry about that. I might be able to do something about that on my end.
If you're streaming through StreamYards, they instead of lag, they should. If it's on your end, what they should be seeing is your video slow down, but there shouldn't be buffering. It's probably StreamYard's end if they're getting buffering. If it's actually just lag where your video is choppy, which I'm not seeing, so it probably isn't, then it's probably on StreamYard's end.
Okay, so like Dan is saying that the video cuts out and YouTube gives an error, and somebody earlier was saying, like Fred earlier was saying that he wasn't getting like video. So I'm sorry, team.
It could also be YouTube. Sometimes YouTube just kind of
is a jerk.
Partially goes down. Yeah, I had one of my streams cut short by YouTube, just dropping their streaming service basically.
Gotcha. That sucks.
So.
I want to see how aluminum might affect climate change by increasing ocean's carbon sink capacity.
I mean, that actually does sound kind of cool.
That sounds way cooler than anything else we've been looking at. Okay.
And it's not from a craziness website.
No, but I think the reason it's posted here is going to be CCC. They're pumping aluminum into the atmosphere because of this, right?
Right.
That would be my guess. But
I mean, I actually do agree there. Like, there probably would be unintended consequences that wouldn't be super great if we just dumped a bunch of aluminum in the ocean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. April Van Ryn says YouTube is trying to stop us from trying to stop you from talking about chemtrails, meaning us. Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, you're almost certainly going to get a flag on this video where it moves to like a Wikipedia article about how stupid chemtrails are.
Fair.
Because I got that on when I did my Flat Earth debate after show. YouTube flagged that with the little warning, like Flat Earth is an archaic cosmological concept of the shape of the Earth. Like, yes, thank you, YouTube. I am aware.
Thanks, YouTube. Yeah. The algorithm is not smart enough to figure out who's for and against something. Okay. So what are we proposing here? So carbon, the ocean is like the world's best thing at just gobbling up carbon. And so anything that you could do to either remove carbon from the ocean, like the best thing to do to fight carbon in the atmosphere is actually to fight carbon in the ocean. Because if you can remove carbon from the ocean, then the ocean is going to just snag it from the atmosphere. Or anything you can do to increase the ocean's capacity. So this is actually like interesting to me. So I am looking. Okay. The ocean is the largest active carbon pool on the planet. So actually, like in lieu of humans, like there's a net carbon sink in our carbon cycle, right? Like the Earth absorbs more carbon ends up into the Earth, and then it gives back up until you get a volcano, right? So you actually need volcanoes for life on Earth to exist, fun fact. Otherwise, eventually all the carbon would just get sucked into rock.
Take that, volcano haters.
Take that. Adding a small amount of aluminum to achieve concentrations in the 10 times nanomolar range can increase the net fixation of CO2 by marine diatoms. Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Gotcha. That's interesting. And increasing their decomposition, thus improving the ocean's ability to absorb CO2 and sequester carbon at deep ocean depths. So that's cool. So we can chuck carbon dioxide into this sucker, and then when he dies, it stays with him, and it's just actually removing it from the system.
Plus, we get more chalk in the long run.
Yeah, there you go. So that's super. This is actually very cool. I learned a thing. I'm not saying that like you should increase like I'm not saying we should go dump a bunch of aluminum into the ocean, right? But like creative ways to remove carbon from the ocean is that's actually, I think, would have better geoengineering. Like, I think that's a better route than trying to like reflect sunlight, right? But that's me. That's very cool.
I think what we should do is there's an episode of The Simpsons where Mr. Burns decides that he's going to take the sun away from everyone because he's angry at them. So he builds a gigantic shade that just covers Springfield. And so I think that what we need is just a whole bunch of those, and they're mirror finished. And then we just reflect all the light back out over all the major cities.
Yeah, I like it.
I mean, it's a literal supervillain plot, and I do believe that Homer Simpson got rickets during that episode, but, you know, you win some, you lose some.
I think I've seen that one. I forgot he got rickets. I love
He walks out with his bowed legs. It's like, I'm getting really tired of these rickets.
Would have been a crystal clear, cloudless day over South Mississippi. I mean, like, probably not.
Citation needed, man. It's Mississippi. Come on.
Yeah.
I've been to Mississippi. It's not exactly the driest place in the world.
No, and South Mississippi, like on the Gulf, right? That's practically tropical latitudes. So like it's gonna rain every day, especially in the summer. And it can switch really fast, but like
I'm extremely skeptical that without airplanes, it would always be sunny and clear over southern Mississippi. I just don't buy that one, guys. Sorry. Especially since a lot of this isn't even contrails. It's just regular old clouds. Do chemtrailers actually think that all clouds start off as chemtrails? Is that actually the thing?
I don't know. They're like...
Wait, did they just ask how long until COVID-19 vaccines are falling from the sky? Oh my goodness. That is amazing.
That sounds like a great way to vaccinate everybody. I wish.
That would be... Oh, wow. COVID-19. Now, remember, this is the COVID-19 vaccine that has to be cooled to like ridiculously low temperatures and can only survive like 4 hours out of the freezer. I don't think that spraying it out of an airplane is even if you could inhale the vaccine, which I'm pretty sure you can't.
Right.
Even if you could, there's no way that would work.
Well, and I'm assuming this, like, working on COVID vaccines in spray form, I'm assuming they're talking about, like, the flu vaccine that you can get.
Yeah, like a nasal spray.
A nasal spray. Not, like...
They're not going to be misting your supermarket with COVID vaccine. This is amazing. That's my favorite one so far.
That's my favorite one so far.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, thank you, Internet.
Thank you, Internet. Okay, I think that's the best comment we're going to get on r/chemtrails.
Oh, yeah. There's no way we're topping the COVID-19 vaccine chemtrails.
No, we're not. We're not going to top that. So I want to pull up my... I got a couple comments on a past live stream on my channel today that I thought were lovely. I thought we could have a laugh at them real quick. To
wonderful.
Yeah. So I'm going to pull those up. Oh shoot! I have to do it.
I'm still trying to get out of the continually laughing phase. I'm consciously not laughing because holy crap, dude, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was beautiful, is what that was.
There's just no sense of like checking things against reality. Like, you know how like sometimes you're doing some math and you get an answer and you're like, well, I don't think that this answer makes sense. Like you're trying to figure out like, okay, how long do I leave the brownies in the oven if I'm doing like a double batch? And your math comes out and it says like 8 hours. And you're like, you know, I feel like maybe there's a mistake there.
I feel like maybe that's not right.
Right. So you go back over and you're like, oh, okay, here I see what I did. I hit like the wrong button on the calculator or something. Okay.
Yeah.
But the people on this subreddit seem to have no ability to like reality check any of their conclusions.
Right.
Like they have no actual sense of how the world really works. They just go with the crazy option.
Yeah.
Victorian coal-fired chemtrails. That could be a fun little aspect to add to like a steampunk world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, okay. Let me get the...
They're fumigating the poor people.
Oh, God.
Well, that's
Okay.
what it seems like chemtrails, the conspiracy is saying, even though somehow the elite are going to be able to breathe different air than the poor people. Don't know how that's going to work.
Do not know.
All their houses are actually clean houses. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm. They buy those fancy, there's like an MLM water filter that's like thousands of dollars, but actually is nothing.
I like that we added in that's an MLM. Perfect.
Yeah. Oh
Whoa.
No, I did
It's
Inception. I didn't mean to do Inception.
Infinite regress. Go to jail. Do not collect.
Okay.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
Okay, are you seeing the video now?
Okay, so which video is this?
This was when I was reviewing a video on Hydroplate.
My goodness.
And it was real bad, and I laughed a lot. So, but this comment was new today. Gave a timestamp, don't know why. If you would have actually viewed his video instead of pausing it before his point was made, it would make more sense. First of all, there's like 4 videos and all of them are an hour and he doesn't actually say anything. Anywho. The Bible is referenced as the basis of the timeline. The reason being is that presumably it claims to written by people who lived through the events.
I want to know who lived through the creation of the universe.
I would like to know that. Also, fun fact, that's not true, right? So, like the Pentateuch, right, was written down in the Second Temple period. Things I learned from watching Digital Hammurabi.
So using the documentary hypothesis, it's hard to say when all of the original texts were originally written, but it was probably compiled around that time.
Gotcha. Sorry, compiled. The continental shelves are mentioned in reference to the Tower of Babel, because after the flood, it would have taken hundreds of years for the water to have completely drained from the continents, exposing land bridges. That's not what continental shelves are, my guy, allowing peoples and animals to migrate.
I like the idea that prehistorically lower ocean levels aren't due to an extensive glacial event. It's that the water was just sitting on the land for a while, I guess in gigantic lakes. And I mean, they would have to be enormous. Like, do you think the Great Lakes are big? No. Not if we're going to significantly lower the ocean level.
Oh, also, and this one rambles. Here we go. It's almost getting comical to watch this absurdly ignorant woman who is supposed to represent science from the secular worldview bumble around, get distracted, and stop to explain protoplanets only to answer a question, not look like a fool, before having to say that meteors bombarding a planetesimal is how planets grow exactly like he said. It's not what he said, but that's cool.
You're ignorant of the Bible.
Ignorant of any field of science that he can tell in 12 minutes.
That might be true.
That's true. Trying to debunk a theoretical documentary given by a material engineer. What's a material engineer?
I think that's someone who tries to design things like certain plastics to have particular properties.
But that's like material science and engineering is that field, but you wouldn't like.
Well, I think he's probably giving the wrong title, but I think that's what he means.
That's what I was making fun of, Dapper. That was.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Anywho.
What is humor?
Yeah. You look more like a confused little teenage girl giggling with her friends rather than actually addressing anything that's stated. I will say I do enjoy giggling with my friends here on the internet. Yeah.
We did a whole bunch of that.
Yeah. It's fun. That's what live streams are for having fun.
I mean, look, if you're not having fun doing this, like, debunking of crazy creationist claims, like, if it were miserable, if I hated it, I wouldn't do it.
I also love I misrepresented him while I'm just playing his video.
How dare you let him speak for himself, Maddie?
How dare I?
That is completely unacceptable.
Oh, I saw this one a while ago, but I do like it. Try inviting him on your show so he can carefully explain to you what you don't seem to grasp. Look, please explain to me. What is it I don't grasp? Anywho.
Would you invite him on your show?
I mean, maybe. I'm not sure I want to talk about hydroplate theory. It honestly seems like nonsense. Like,
well, I mean, it's all nonsense, but
yeah.
Hey, look, if Creation Myths can invite Michael Behe on, which, by the way, I hope everyone here has seen that.
I was in chat. That was great.
My immediate comment to Dan afterwards was, well, I think Dan is now wanted for murder. Because it was rough. And we had some extensive conversation about why Behe's idea that placentals are just ancestral to vertebrates, apparently, and they've been lost in all but a few lineages is just complete nonsense. And it's nonsense for just like an infinite number of reasons.
I loved the okay, he did give one of my favorite creationist arguments that I love to take out of biology and into meteorology, which is when you see something that is like complex and complicated, right? You like see a designer.
Right.
And I always like to bring up tornadoes, which are so complicated that like we cannot accurately model them. The best supercomputer on the planet can't do it. They have crazy cool fractal structures inside of them. They're beautiful, but no one is, and frankly, they're much more complicated than a cell, right? But like,
oh, there's gonna be some biologists who are gonna get up in arms about that statement.
I'm sorry. But my point is that nobody looks at a tornado and thinks that every single one of them is specially created, right? We accept that there's natural processes that cause tornadoes.
You say that, but I wouldn't be super surprised if we could find some creationists that thought that every tornado was a direct manifestation of God's wrath.
That would be interesting. No one's given that back to me yet.
I think we could probably get Flat Earth Aussie to say that.
Ooh. Maybe.
If we wanted to further engage with Flat Earth Aussie, which I don't, after I found out that he thinks literally that women are intellectually inferior baby factories with, quote, delicious secretions.
Oh, fun fact. The highest IQ ever recorded is that of a woman.
Oh.
So, that's a thing.
I don't put a whole lot of stock in IQs, though.
Neither do I, but that's... So I will say this. IQ... People with high IQs are generally smart, right? But there's also lots of really smart people without high IQs, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of false negatives, but I don't think there's a lot of false positives.
Okay.
We can talk a lot. Mostly the argument is like, what does IQ not measure?
Yeah, it's measuring something.
Right, it's measuring.
You can get consistent results across different IQ tests and different people and stuff. So there's something that's measuring, but I don't think it's a very good predictor of like success in life or your tendency to not be a dummy.
So on the scale where a mean IQ is 100 and a standard deviation is 20, so average intelligence is between 80 and 120. You are like having an IQ that is 120 or above does make you more likely to be successful for some measure of success. But having an IQ but then there's no difference in say like a person with an insane Einstein IQ of like 180 is no more likely to be successful than somebody with an IQ of 120, if that makes sense. I don't know why those are facts I carry around in my head, but they are.
Oh, I also recently found out that 180 is about as high as IQ tests generally can give you as a return.
Yeah.
And so if you ever hear someone claiming to have an IQ test that came back as like 197, that person probably never actually took an IQ test, or if they did, it didn't return that value. And apparently, it's a fairly common thing to simply make up IQ results with people who have narcissistic personality disorder.
Oh.
So you can't use it to diagnose people, but if someone provides their IQ to you for some reason, ask them why they took the IQ test, where they took it, who gave it to them. Because most people never take an IQ test, and if you take one, there's usually a good reason for it.
Oh, okay.
And online IQ tests do not count.
So Tesla, I know it depends on the test, on what the standard deviation is, believe it or not. Some are 15, some are 20.
Boo, we need standardization in IQ testing.
I know, right?
But so
I will say, I think...
Yeah, the online tests are just there to ego boost you while you look at ads. That's all those are.
Yeah.
I've seen so many stupid tests. One that I get because shocker guys, I watch a fair bit of Star Trek related content on the internet. I know, crazy, right? But so every once in a while they're like, oh, take this trivia test and see if you really know. Only a true fan. And it's like giving me like the stupidest questions like what is Spock's father's name? It's like, well, I've seen more than a few episodes of Star Trek, so it's a pretty basic question if you've seen Star Trek.
Yeah.
It's never stuff like, what was the name of the non-sexed alien creature that Commander Riker fell in love with during that one episode? Because it's like, I don't know. He fell in love with a lot of people over a lot of episodes. I don't remember that one. Like, it's never those. It's always basic stuff like, what did Picard's family grow on their family farm in France? It's like, grapes. They had a vineyard. That was mentioned so many times.
There was a whole episode on the vineyard.
Right. It's like, and so it's the same thing with those IQ tests. They're like, which of these shapes is bigger? Like, obviously this one.
Well, anywho, team, chemtrails aren't a thing. Contrails are, but they're still just clouds.
And also, regular road clouds that aren't from planes are also not chemtrails.
This is true. This is real true. And I liked hanging out with you guys. I will see you next week. And if you're not subbed to Dapper, definitely go sub to him. I will add his link to the description in just a second.
Got a video coming out tomorrow.
Ooh, what's coming out tomorrow? Oh, is it your speculative evolution project vid?
Absolutely. This is going to be a 1 hour episode of that, which makes it about 3 times longer than any previous episode.
Yeah, so grab a drink. Go hang out on Dapper's channel tomorrow.
What's the name of the fish in Picard's Ready Room? You know what? I know that this is somewhere in my brain. I know it's a lionfish.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. Look, I can't play this stream long enough for me to remember it.
Picard fish-related trivia question, though.
Okay.
There's an episode where someone takes over the Enterprise and, like, kills the fish. Who does that?
Is that an episode?
I think so.
I'm going to go ahead and say it's probably the Ferengi.
I'm pretty sure it was. Okay. Thank you so much, team. Don't trust your Ferengi neighbors with your goldfish. And I'll see you guys later. Bye, team.
Bye.